So welcome to Live Stream Insiders. My name is Peter Stewart. This is your 30-minute news update with everything to do with live streams over the last 7 days. No Krishna Day this week. She may very well come in at some stage, but she's on her travels. I think she's going to another one of her conferences, so she's not actually with us presenting the program this week. So it's down to me to fly solo. So thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll try and keep an eye on things as they progress. But as you know, it's a little bit tricky when you're by yourself, and also when you're getting messages in on your text as well at the same time. So my name is Peter Stewart. I'm behind Up Your Periscope. That's the world's first book on how to do Periscope. Also, I've written several other books on how to be a professional presenter and producer. I work for a well-known British broadcasting organisation, and my background is in radio and TV, presentation and production. So I've written about and gone around the country and indeed around the world, training people on those skills together with interviewing and writing and reading and legal issues, all to do with kind of professional broadcasting. But you know, so when live streaming came along that you can just do from your phone, I thought to myself, I can merge what could be a hobby together with my professional sphere and put them both together. So this week we've got news on Periscope. We've got news on a reasonably new bit of tech, a reasonably new platform that you may or not have heard of. We've got something to do with battery power. We've got a live stream on Facebook Live you just don't want to miss this coming week. And we've got a couple of other hints and tips and other tech stories as well coming to you over the next 28 minutes of our lives together. Let's crack on. And our big story this week is, how on earth do you make live streaming pay? And this is the article which was on techinsider.io during the course of the week, techinsider.io. And it was all to do with the monetization of things like Facebook Live. Specifically, Facebook Live is what they were looking at. And they were pointing out that the Chewbacca mum, her video on Facebook Live has been played over 150 million times. 150 million times. Now, bearing in mind that the Super Bowl broadcast of February 2016 averaged 111 million TV viewers. So how much were those adverts going for 111 million viewers for the Super Bowl final? Yeah, how many? How much? Obviously thousands and thousands, if not millions of pounds. How much did Candace Payne get for 150 million views when she had a silly mask on in her car outside the Target store? Zippo, nada, nothing, zero, the big fat nothing. So the big question that they've been asking on techinsider.io is, when is Facebook actually going to allow you to monetize the videos that you're putting up, like traditional broadcast TV, and also like our good friends over the other way on the other platform, YouTube? Because of course there are people making an awful lot of money from YouTube. They are bringing in an income. Not everyone, obviously, is getting an income from YouTube, but an awful lot of people are. And some of them are making a career out of it. Some of them are paying their mortgages, putting their kids through school and college from it. Now, of course, not everyone that puts everything up on YouTube wants to make money, in the same way as not everyone who puts something up on Facebook Live actually wants to make money. A lot of people aren't expecting any payment for what they put up, but maybe there should be a way that you can make money out of your videos, live videos, or even pre-recorded videos on Facebook. And that's a big problem. It's something that techinsider.io is saying it's something that really Facebook should be sorting out. So what did they do? They got in touch with Facebook, and back came the answer: we don't have anything to announce with respect to our monetization strategies. So what could it be? Could it be product placement? Well, I suppose you can do that to a certain extent anyway. Maybe advertorials, which is a little bit further down the line from product placement. Of course, then you've got all of those other provisos coming in as well, haven't you, about full declaration and conflict of interest and so on. But maybe Facebook is going to be running some pre-roll or mid-roll or end-roll adverts coming your way soon. They would want to make a cut of that and obviously hand over the balance to you. And that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you've got a whole load of people watching your particular live stream, whether it be something newsworthy, whether it be something fun, or whether it be maybe a tutorial, something like that. Be interesting though, because if you were doing something live, you wouldn't necessarily know, would you, that it was actually going to get, it's actually going to go viral. So I wondered whether you could then either automate the adverts to appear when it hits a certain threshold, or whether you could put those in after the fact in some way. So interesting times for how Facebook Live is going to be doing monetization, let alone our friends over the way on Periscope as well. Busker, of course, another platform is already managing to do that to a certain extent. But you know what? Like most platforms, I saw a bit of flurry of activity to start off with Busker, and I haven't heard or seen any notifications from people over the last 10 days or fortnight. So maybe I'm not following the right people. Maybe it's died a bit of a death. Maybe it's just in a bit of hibernation and it's waiting for some more big names to get onto Busker before it has another maybe relaunch. Or maybe, as I say, I'm just not in touch with those kinds of people. But interesting times indeed. Let's make a bit of money out of it. That's what it all's about. Make the world go round. Okay, story number 2 with 23 minutes to go on Live Stream Insiders with me, Peter Stewart. A Facebook Live is going to be used in Australia for their first online political debate. It was announced on Tuesday, this story from Mashable.com, and they are saying that it's going to be really innovative, the way they're going to be using for a political debate in Australia. The Prime Minister down under said the platform could be used to reach millions of Australians, and then his opposition leader, the leader of the Labour Party, Bill Shorten, decided, yeah, okay, I'm up for it, cobber, mate, and they are going to be doing that. No date has yet been set, but it could be held as early as this coming week. More on that on Mashable.com. Okay, are you into Periscope? Do you like getting people around on Periscope? Do you wish that you could put together a little Periscope party or a Periscope event? Well, if you do, the people at Periscope HQ in San Francisco want to hear from you. And if you're going to be putting together a Periscope event, not only will they help you publicize it, but also they'll give you some free stuff. Were you aware about this? So they are saying that they really love it when Periscopers get together. I mean, why wouldn't they? Because it helps spreading the word. It means they don't have to pay for anything. It means they don't actually have to organize anything. They just publicize it a little bit. So they've set up a few guidelines about what you can do to help them publicize Periscope / Twitter live streams. They know that a lot of people are planning meetups either right now or they will do in the future, and they want to support you and give you some ideas about how you can make them a bit more fun and accessible. So they've picked up on 3 basic points. They say, number 1, keep your meetups simple, straightforward and open as possible so lots of people can come along. That's number 1. Number 2 is pick a unique hashtag for the event so that then you can tweet about it. It helps promote it, and also you can connect with each other. It helps make the periscopes that you do prior to the event, at the event and post the event much more discoverable, not only for people to come along but also to watch as well all over the world. And number 3, they say, is plan a meetup around a particular topic or a particular location. Obviously it would be around a particular location, otherwise not many people would be turning up, would they? So they say maybe it's all Periscopers in Paris get together on a certain time or date, or people who are particularly interested in a certain kind of Periscope, like it's travel logs or it's artists or something like that, in a big city. And then once you've planned your big meeting, tell the guys over at Periscope HQ in San Fran, and they'll promote it for you. Number one, they'll promote it for you because they'll be updating their events page, and they'll put all the events, the meetup, the time, the location, so other people can find it. And number two, get this, they will send you as an organizer a Periscope party pack that either you can keep some of the stuff to yourself and also that you can pass it on. What you are saying is a Periscope party pack. Let me show you what a Periscope party pack comprises. It's that kind of stuff there. It's name tags and Periscope balloons and stickers, and also one surprise item for everyone who attends the meetup. So that is what they are suggesting you do, whether it be a picnic in a local park or maybe it's a walking tour of your favorite neighborhood, whatever it is. Tell the guys over at Periscope. They'll tell the rest of the world. They can either come along or they can follow you on Periscope itself. They've got to have 3 weeks notice before they send the party pack. And you know what? There doesn't seem to be any limit around the world to where they'll send that party pack to. I'm loving those Periscope socks. I think that is so cool. And the little badge, which says Periscope Live on it as well. I like that a lot. It's almost worth setting up a Periscope event just to get the free stuff, isn't it? Okay, let's move on. 19 minutes to go. Excuse me. One sip of coffee. And let me tell you about, very briefly, about the platform which you may not have discovered so far. Little bit of conflict about what it's called. I'm going to pronounce it Huzzah because it makes sense that it's called Huzzah because that is a kind of traditional kind of a greeting, isn't it? In the same way as hello or howdy or hi. Huzzah! Welcome. So it's Huzzah, Huzzah, Huzzah.io, and it allows you to set up and schedule live event in seconds. You can make it public or you can offer it exclusively to your followers. And you know what? Krishna, my partner in crime here on Livestream Insiders, did a Huzzah earlier on in the week. Did a few little tests. I got on as well. Didn't seem to make much sense to me. I'd obviously downloaded the app. I was watching it on my iOS device. But you know what? It didn't seem to work properly. You could either send a text message, send a message to the screen, but you couldn't watch the live video at the same time. Or you could tap through and watch the live video, but you couldn't send a text. That obviously is crazy. Krishna had a look afterward and said, no, it seems fine on my device. So I'm not entirely sure why there was a bit of a blip on the iPhone 5S that I was using. And as Stephen says, you know what? The owners accept any pronunciation. I'm sure they do. So long as we're talking about it, so long as we're using it, and so long as we're sharing all about it. If you want to know more about Huzzah, as I say, Krishna did a test and worked it all out. And Krishna.me is the place you need to go if you are interested in learning a little bit more about Huzzah. So that's Krishna.me, KRISHNA.me, and have a little route around and you'll find out how to use Huzzah for live streaming. And when Krishna's back in a couple of weeks, we'll get her to do a little bit more on the whys and indeed the wherefores. Okay, 17 minutes to go. My name's Peter Stewart. It's Livestream Insiders, flying solo this week. Thanks so much indeed for coming along. Thanks for watching. Let's crack on. Bit of tech news because the UK's Daily Mail newspaper was talking this week about low battery anxiety. Well, you know as well as I do that if you do live streaming from your cell phone, from your mobile device, you're forever thinking, will I have enough battery power to see me out? Have I got a backup battery device? Have I got the cable that goes between it? Have I got enough battery in the backup battery device? So we've talked about this before on the program about how important it is to have a backup battery, and I know that Krishna and I both use the same Anchor model, but 90% of us apparently do panic about losing power on our phones, whether we're live streaming or just day-to-day surfing, checking out, sending posts to Facebook and sending tweets and Snapchatting and WhatsApping and LinkedIning and all the rest of it. And sometimes, heck, we may even use it to make a few voice calls as well. 32% of us apparently will, quote, drop everything to head home and charge a phone. Doesn't sound terribly practical, does it? 17% of men apparently have missed a match on a dating app because their phone died. It's a little bit sad in more ways than one. And 60% of us apparently have blamed a dead phone for not speaking to a loved one. Yeah, right. Okay, you were down the bar with your buddies. That's what that was. And you just didn't want to phone home. That's what I reckon that was. But anyway, these stats from the Daily Mail and also from LG, the company, the phone company, TV company, LG. They're calling all this low battery anxiety. And they say nearly 9 out of 10 people suffer from the fear of losing power on their phone. You know what? I don't think I've had it that bad at all. The survey found 41% of people fear missed calls the most when faced with a dead battery. And also a few other stats here. It says that low battery anxiety, the symptoms for that are, number one, asking a total stranger to charge your smartphone for you. Trouble is that could take ages, and that's kind of not very practical, is it? How would you do that? Ask someone else to charge your phone for you? Well, in the street or in a bar? That doesn't really make sense. Number two, arguing with a significant other or romantic interest because of unanswered calls or texts. I refer you to my previous comment. Number three, ordering. Yeah, we've done this, haven't we? Ordering something at a bar or restaurant just to use their power outlet. Thank goodness for Starbucks and McDonald's, Other restaurants and coffee chains are available. Number four, secretly borrowing someone else's charger. I think that happens around the office quite a bit. And number five, owning 3 or more smartphone charging cables. Absolutely. You know what? I've got one in my bag. I've got one in the office. I've got one next to my bed, and I've got another one in the kitchen. So I'm always powering up, and I'm fully juiced. Apparently, Sony is working on a lithium sulfur battery and a magnesium sulfur battery that they say will be able to carry 40% more charge than the batteries we use at the moment. As we know, iPhone batteries are a bit rubbish, aren't they? And of course, you can't replace them very easily, which is one of the big problems. Apparently, there are 3, count them, 3 tricks to extend battery life if your phone is running out of juice. Do you want to know what those 3 tips are? What those 3 things are to conserve battery life? You know what? You're really clever. You're really intelligent. Your finger on the pulse. You probably know already. But let me tell you in 5 seconds' time after I've taken another sip. See, that's the trouble. When you don't have a co-host, I've got to sip mid-flow rather when Krishna's talking. Here we go. 3 tips for conserving battery life. Number 1, you know these, but just for the record, turn off all of the extra features to conserve your battery life, because your cell phone is always looking around to update things, to refresh things, to store things in the cache, to archive things, to clean up things. How many times have you looked thinking, hold on, it's cleaning itself. Why is it cleaning that app? If you swipe out all of those apps and you close those down, then it won't be able to be searching for things. Okay, another one. In fact, I've just come up with a 4th one here that you can probably add to as well. If your favorite isn't mentioned, pop it in the comments. We'll give it a mention. Number 2, a smartphone uses a lot of power just to keep apps up to date. This is a bit like number 1, isn't it? Daily Mail cheating a little bit on this. Turning off the background refresh setting on the apps can save that power for keeping your phone alive. And also notifications I'd add in there as well. So turn off all those notifications. Another trick to improving battery life is also, boy oh boy, the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting a bit hot. Make sure your phone doesn't get too hot, because your phone is a mini computer, apart from the fact it doesn't have a cooling fan. So when your phone is overheating, it means that the CPU, the little chip that's doing an awful lot of the work, is also using up a lot of power to do that, because it is getting hotter. So be aware of that. So we've got 3 things there. Turn off the extra features, turn off the background refresh. I'm going to put in turning off notifications as well, and also make sure that your phone doesn't get too hot. So you may have an extra idea that you can pop in there as well. If so, pop it in the chat and I'll give that a mention before the end of the show, which is now just 10 minutes away. Live streaming Insiders. I'm Peter Stewart, live from London. Okay, Now, finishing today has been a live streaming experiment by the Axel Springer Academy in Berlin. So they've been doing lots of live streams on Facebook Live and also on Periscope as well. It started last Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning and it goes through until today. So it's presumably about to finish or has just finished in the last couple of hours. So this is an academy for potential young journalist wannabes, and they've been trying to work out what type of local stories work best on that particular platform, live streaming for news. And they say that they've had to work out in advance some of the stories that they're going to be telling, and also they've been putting together Facebook Live and also Periscope on one of those specially constructed gimbals, so maybe a shoulder pod or something like that. So two phones placed side by side, one on each platform, and streaming the same event from both of those at the same time. And they've said while live streams have more views on Periscope while it's actually live, the total viewer count on Facebook is higher because the videos remain in the feed for longer, so they're a bit more discoverable. Now, I wondered whether they did the trick of then reposting the Periscope/Twitter link and retweeting that or updating it and having a chain of tweets that would keep referring back to the original post. I wonder if they did that, because if they didn't, of course, then it's not particularly comparing like with like, I would suggest. They also say Facebook is the platform the team has had to focus on more for community engagement and comment moderation. There's more on this story on journalism.co.uk, so journalism.co.uk. They say they had to plan all this 5 weeks in advance. Every story, they said, had to be researched and scripted. Entirely sure why it had to be scripted. I mean, a few bullet points, surely, but I don't know about scripted. Maybe they're using scripted in a slightly different way than I would. But they say it should be scripted in order to prevent losing control of the stream while going live on Facebook and Periscope. I kind of get that to a certain extent, but I would have thought live streaming essence of live streaming is that, yes, you've got bullet points. Yes, you've got a beginning, a middle and an end. Yes, you know your route map and where you're going to go, but also that you should be responding to the comments, and also that perhaps you've got people who are watching, who are directing the flow of the conversation, or indeed showing you or asking you to go and show different places and different things in your stream. So I don't actually know whereabouts they actually went. Here we go. A live stream followed a reporter dressed in a bikini and the reactions of those around her, which proved challenging, as they say. The social media team had to draw the line between which comments needed to be hidden and which ones could remain on the page as they contributed to a discussion, and that had to be heavily moderated as well. They had 16 journalists working on this project. Sounds an awful lot, but they were doing it every day, 3 times a day during the course of the day, and also for 7 days. So that's the only example I've got of how they were using it, but interesting stuff. So my name's Peter Stewart. I work for a well-known British broadcasting company. Let's give you a little bit more information on a topic we talked about last week, and that is how a British broadcasting organisation, which just happens to be called the BBC, has learned using Facebook Live. We touched on this, was it last week or the week before? We've got a few more interesting facts and ideas in and suggestions from BBC World News, because it's putting Facebook Live video front and centre around a couple of big things which are happening our side of the pond at the moment. Number one is the referendum, so the big election, the big vote, which happens in less than 2 weeks' time, all about whether we should stay in the economic community of Europe or whether Britain should leave the economic community. Obviously, we're still going to be in the continent of Europe, but should we stay in the economic community of Europe? So that's number one, big referendum coming up, could change the course of British social and political history for generations to come. Number two is the Euro 2016 football tournament or soccer tournament. So England played their first match last night, and it's been going for this is the 3rd day. There's a match ongoing, I'm sure, as I speak. Psst. bit of interest, bit of disclosure, in the office sweepstake, I pulled England out. So I'm supporting England and being English. So hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed, but we only drew last night. Anyway, back to the main topic. So the broadcast of the BBC using Facebook Live consistently around the EU referendum on June the 23rd, and also to do with Euro 2016. These are what they've come up with. These are their guidelines. These are their KLPs, their key learning points. Number one, let the audience lead. They say you must take a freestyle approach, resist a specific editorial plan, which is interesting because those journalism students we talked about a few minutes ago did have a plan. Indeed, they had it scripted and they've been working on it for several weeks in advance. But the BBC saying, no, take a freestyle approach. It is not replication of TV. You need to stay focused. You need to stay engaged. You need to watch the comments so you don't veer too far off your chosen topic and your chosen plan, but do a bit of freewheeling as well. It's number one. Number two, don't be seduced by high view counts. The BBC obviously is used to mass audiences, and of course you've got to engage, but they say it's really interesting, even if you get a small number, maybe, and it's something I've been saying about Periscope for over a year now, even if you've got a small number of viewers, then it's really important to carry on going, because it could be that that small number of viewers are particularly interested, are particularly engaged. You may have 1,000 people watching, but you know what? Are they really watching? Are they really engaged? Are they just listening? Is it on in the background? They've forgotten to swipe out. So a small number of people may mean that they are super engaged. So don't be seduced by high viewer counts, says the BBC. They say the data we get back is limited, so we don't know exactly how many fans are enjoying it, other than what Facebook currently is surfacing, what that little number is saying in the corner of the screen, but they do want more statistics so they can better plan and better target the people who are likely to be watching a BBC feed. Number three, managing audience engagement is tough. They say it really is really difficult. There are 30 million fans on the BBC Facebook page, and that means they've got to have several producers managing the speed at which BBC presenters can curate and respond to all the hundreds of comments that fly up on the screen during a Facebook live stream. They say they've got their own moderation team who are working together with the presenter, so a team of producers, but even so, that is really, really difficult. And as I say, they are going to be using it for the referendum coverage. They say part of Facebook Live's appeal has been the fact that it gives publishers' video an edgy, unpolished feel, given a lot of it is done on the fly. More on that story, digiday.com, if you want to learn a little bit more about how the BBC is using live video. I'm Peter. We've got 30 minutes. We set ourselves a limit because we value your minutes. We value your megs, however you're watching. So we've just got 2.5 minutes to go before we call it a day on this particular episode of the news on Live Stream Insiders. Let me give you another fantastic case study that's coming to the fore. We mentioned the word publishers a few minutes ago. This is how a publisher's company, how a publishing house is using live stream. We've all heard of HarperCollins publishers. I'm sure you have. It's not actually the publisher that I'm with, but HarperCollins publishers launching a daily Facebook Live program so that you as a viewer can interact with their authors, their writers in real time through the video and through written questions. And that, of course, helps the authors to reach beyond the bookstore, reach beyond Amazon, reach beyond the bookshelves, and go beyond the local bookstore events. They can reach out to many, many more people. And of course, inevitably, that helps book sales. And HarperCollins doing it in two ways. They've got their own studios, so they are doing some in their own studios, so presumably inviting the authors in, moderating, got a team of producers, but also they are suggesting that the authors themselves could be doing live streams, of course, on their own smartphones, of course, either from their office where they're writing their next blockbuster, or indeed they could be doing it from a bookstore. And they are suggesting that their presentations last between 15 and 45 minutes, and HarperCollins themselves can help promote those particular events. And for example, Dorothea Benton Frank, whose new novel All Summer Long was published recently, by Friday afternoon, less than 20 hours after she did a Facebook Live during a recent visit to a bookstore in Columbia, South Carolina, the video had been viewed more than 6,500 times. More on that on the Wall Street Journal website, WSJ.com. It's all about how HarperCollins are using live video. One more thing in the last 20 seconds before I go. Mark Zuckerberg himself is doing his first ever Facebook Live Q&A this coming Tuesday, June the 14th at 11:30 Pacific time. So you can leave your comments for him. Last time I looked, 10,000 questions have been asked for Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook Live, his first one ever, Tuesday, June the 14th at 11:30 Pacific time in the morning. That's it. I'm out of here. That's another edition of Live Stream Insiders. Thank you for the loan of your eyes and your ears. And I'll be back next week without Krishna, with me, and with the very latest news from the world of live streaming.